Hello, welcome back to another Q&A video, which has been a while. My name is Amy if you're brand new to my channel, and let's get started right away with the first question. Actually, the first three questions are pertaining to the Coco Handle. How do you find the quality of the craftsmanship and finishing of the Coco Handle? Is the outline of the flap straight enough? My beige mini with lizard embossed handle appears a bit curvy below the CC logo, and there is a little bulge on the side close to where it attaches to the back. Someone else also mentioned that they're afraid about the corners caving in. Also, a question related to Coco Handle by Judy. She asks whether the top handle creases when opening. Mine does it, and I'm afraid it will wear in time. I have 3 Coco handles. If you guys are new to my channel, I have a video where I reviewed my first 2 Coco handles, so I'll link that down below. The latest one that I added to my collection was from the Egyptian collection that just passed, and this is the collection where they first introduced the embossed handle. So the handle is no longer made of exotic skin, it's just an embossed calf skin. I must admit that I find this particular collection, so this Egyptian collection, the flap is not as straight on all the Coco handles. I believe it was Purse Forum. I saw a picture of one that is the same version as this in black, and the flap on this side, on the one side, was completely curved and crooked. So that looked really bad to me. If I were to look at all the ones that I have, so like I said, I have 3 of them, I would say that the ones that I have are pretty straight, and of course these are all handmade. There's a little bit of going upwards here. I feel like this one is slightly slanted off upwards, but they are so slight. Like, the differences on these are so slight that it's not necessarily visible to the naked eye. With my black one as well, I mean, it's okay. I feel like they are straight enough to the naked eye, so as long as overall when you go and look at the bag that you're buying, it doesn't appear to be completely off, because they're all handmade, so they will differ slightly from bag to bag. As long as it looks good in general and that there isn't one particular thing that stands out, as long as it's not like so crooked that you can definitely tell even from afar that there's a problem, then I would say that it's okay. Like I always advise you guys, whenever you're looking at a piece that you would like to buy, whether it's from Chanel or LV or whichever brand, make sure that you look through it, examine all the nooks and crannies, and make sure that it doesn't look off to you in any way. And as long as it looks fine to you overall, and as long as it's not like totally skewed to the left or to the right, or if it's totally, you know, if there's something totally off that you can see right away on a Coco handle, it would be how straight the flap is, how well the quilts align. I would also look at like the pressure point, so like you were mentioning on one of the sides in the back that it would bulge out. So as long as it's not bulging out only on one side but not on the other, then, you know, as long as it's symmetrically looking, you know, pretty even, and the pocket is well centered, and the bottom, everything is centered, all the corners are unaffected because it's a brand new bag. As long as you take your time to look through your bag, and we're talking about 5 minutes, it's not going to take that long. I mean, you can take 10 minutes, I suppose. As long as it looks, you know, pretty proportionate, then I think that it's totally acceptable. Having said that, I still find that the ones that I have anyway in my collection are totally fine, and I don't particularly think of them as being lower quality. I do know that these bags are probably the least expensive ones that you'll be able to find at Chanel, and even though the Coco handle is considered a seasonal bag, I do look at it more as a new classic, just because it's been around for a few years now, and they do release it every other season. So I feel like it's a shape that's very classic looking, and that I feel like it's definitely gained a lot in popularity in these past years on the larger versions. So the size up from this, as well as the size even higher from that, they do cave in from the corners here. I don't think that on the mini size you would have any problems, or at least I haven't really seen any minis, even in the pre-love market, having that particular problem. You might still get the corners rubbing off just from frequent wear and tear, but in terms of caving in, I have not seen the mini size doing that. So let me know if you have that problem, perhaps if you have a really old mini Coco Handle that does that. But I'm not super worried about that, so you probably shouldn't unless you're going for the larger sizes. Then in that case, it's definitely a lot more prone. In terms of the back here creasing, it's a totally normal phenomenon. Some leather does crease a bit more than others, so my gray one creases a lot. My black one and my blue one don't crease as much. So just let me show you. So when we open this bag, you'll be able to see the gray one here. The crease line here is very prominent, and it's very deep. When you close it, it's completely smooth again. It's possible that the more you use it, so the older your bag gets, it's possible that you'll start to see the actual line crease in the back. I can totally see that happening. I don't think that it will cut through the leather or anything like that. It is, after all, the design of the bag to open in such a way. So I think it's just a normal wear and tear. If it ever, you know, gets to the point where you see like a whole line in the back. So for my black one, I'm opening it all the way. So the black one, as you can see, it doesn't quite form the same kind of line on the leather. It just kind of folds a little bit, but it doesn't have that big crease that really indents into the leather. And like I said, it really just depends on the finish and on the material that they use during that season. Perhaps even a different color makes a different end result as well, because on my blue one, it also is very similar to the black one. It doesn't indent, it doesn't crease quite the same way as the gray one. So this one does it a little bit more than the black one. I'm not sure, maybe if the black one is just a little newer, but I do find that the leather finish does make a big difference. Maybe the gray one's leather is a little softer by a touch, whereas the blue one and the black one is a little firmer, so maybe that's the reason why. It's possible that the version that you have also has a slightly softer leather, but like I said, the gray one is still my favorite. I would not ever think that this would be a deterrent for me at all. If anything, it's just because it's a different leather. So yeah, I don't think that you should have to worry about the creasing on the back just from opening the bag. I think that's totally normal. The next question is by Out Traveling. I have a small Coco Handle in black and a mini in black. My essay just showed me a small and a mini both in red. I do not know what to do. I love both. What would you do? I love the red so much. I don't have any Chanel bags in this color. I don't know if I should get so many Coco Handles, as they are very hard to come by. Nevertheless, I decided to go with the Coco Handle. Would you recommend that I get the small or the mini? You were debating between a mini flap and a Coco Handle, both in red color. I know that these are not exactly the ones that you were talking about, but I just wanted to give you a visual. Between the two, honestly, I feel like for a pop of color such as red, even though I do consider red to be a great neutral, it is still a bit tricky to match with everything in anybody's wardrobe. Unless you wear pinks and reds all the time, then in that case you wouldn't have any problems. But I think for most people, a red bag or a colorful bag is still going to be a little bit harder to match. So in my opinion, the smaller the bag, the better in a pop of color. So whether you went with a mini or a Coco Handle, I would suggest you get the smallest size. So with the Coco Handle, obviously I would suggest going with the mini, or they call it the small nowadays. And of course, a mini is perfectly fine in a red color. Next question is from Stella Dang. If you have to choose one, would you prefer the Fendi Mon Tresor or the LV Mini Palm Springs? I've had this bag for longer than this. I reach for both a lot. I don't know if it's equally as much, just because I feel like this is more of a seasonal bag. I feel like I am getting a little tired of this. Not from an aesthetics point of view. It's just because I reach for it so much that I stopped reaching for it for a while now. But I do feel also that because this is a darker color, that it's more of a wintry or fall-ish bag for me, whereas like I said, this is more of a seasonal bag for me as well, and it's because of the bright color I do reach for it a little bit more in the summer. It's so hard because I really do love both equally, so if I had to pick between the two and I can only choose one for whatever reason, then I would pick the Tresor, but in like the classic brown and black perhaps, just because I feel like the classic brown and black color in this would go so well in all seasons. So obviously fall winter colors is, you know, darker colors just match really well, and then even in the summer you still got the shape. I feel like you're just getting more for your money, being that it's full leather, and that if you choose it in a more neutral color, then it will go with, you know, more all year round wear. Now, having said that, I still really like this bag a lot. Like, I actually really love this bag. So I know that I haven't been wearing it as much lately, but like I said, it's more because of a seasonal issue. You just can't go wrong with either choice. That's what I'm trying to say. If you went with the Palm Springs Mini, or if you feel like you should go with the Palm Springs Mini, then just go ahead, because this bag, even though it might get dated eventually because it's a backpack shape and it's, you know, I don't know, maybe mini bags are not going to be around as much in the next few years, I feel like it's still a great staple. And like I said, I've taken this to travel. I've worn this so much as an everyday bag for a while. Next question by Happily Green. I have 2 Gucci belts and I have enjoyed them for the last few years, but I'm curious if you feel like they're classic pieces or if they'll be out of style with a huge logo buckle. I recently received my Hermes belt as a gift, and I'm considering selling my Gucci one and investing in another strap for the Hermes buckle. I too have the exact same belts that you mentioned, maybe just in a different variation. So I have right here my only Gucci Marmont belt left. I only had 2 at the beginning, but I sold my brown one and I just kept the one with the pearls, and this one is with the black leather. And then I also have this is one of my first belts, or it could have been my second designer belt. I also have my only Hermes belt with the H Constance, and then I have it in the reversible with the orange and black Swift, so orange Epsom and black Swift leather. Mine is in the 24 centimeters, by the way, so this one is slightly narrower, and then my Gucci one is the much thicker version. The fact that the Gigi belt was so saturated at one point, and you guys know that I don't quite particularly care that everybody has the same thing, because I mean, it's totally fine, you know, unless you custom make yourself something that nobody has, then of course the more popular something is, then the more people will have, right? So I don't particularly care that everybody has the same belt, but I do still feel like having the same GG belt, even for myself when I had 2 versions, I just feel like I was just gravitating towards one anyway. So what's the point of keeping the second one? And especially if you feel like it's going out of style, which I feel like it is kind of going out of style, because fashion is this way. Fashion always comes and goes. Hermes is still being looked at as being a more prestigious brand, so it's totally understandable that you feel like selling your Gucci to get another strap from Hermes is more worth it. I totally understand. That's exactly my feeling towards this belt too, because I don't know, for whatever reason, when I chose this belt, I went with orange and black. Obviously, there's nothing wrong with the black side. It's totally neutral. But orange, I don't even wear anything else in orange. I think at the time I was thinking that orange is the most iconic Hermes color, and as well as it's like my happier summery side, which I do wear from time to time, but I felt like I should have gone with their taupe color, or maybe even like the gold color, which is essentially their tan color. I should have probably went with that because it would match with more other things. So I totally get where you're coming from, and I do think that maybe the GG belt is going out of style a little bit, but I wouldn't totally get rid of everything. I would probably still just keep one, and yeah, like you said, just use that money towards something else. The next question is by LMA. Amy, you said in one of your videos that you have weak shoulders. Are you able to carry the Neverfull MM on your shoulders while it is full during travel? How secure is the bag going through security check, etc.? Does anything spill over? Is it safe to go sightseeing in places like Hong Kong, Italy, and other Asian countries? I don't really know why exactly. I'm having shoulder pains just throughout the later part of the day, but it's been a really recurring like everyday thing, so I don't exactly know if it's because of weak shoulders or if it's just because my inflammation is being more active lately. It could be a combination of both. Lately I haven't used it for travel as much. I've mainly been using my Longchamp because it's just a more carefree bag, being less expensive, and also there's a zip closure, so I don't have to worry about things spilling out like you were concerned about. However, having said that, I never had any problems going through security with it, even when it was full, because when I travel with my Neverfull or with any of my luxury handbags, I always bring my dust bags with me. So with my Neverfull, I always brought a drawstring dust bag, especially when I'm going through security. Now, I might remove the drawstring dust bag once I'm through security and I'm just waiting in the lounge area or waiting at the terminal. So, you know, I don't worry about it as much. But once I'm on the airplane, before I put it on the floor, I would still put my drawstring dust bag. It's just a very easy and quick thing to do anyway, because I rather clean the dust bag than to clean my bag, if you know what I mean. So it's just something that I do. So I've never had problems with losing anything, because if it does spill over, it will just be inside the dust bag anyway. And I make a point of not tipping over my things, and if there was a lot of tiny things, I would have different pouches inside the bag anyway. So that was never really an issue with me, even when I travel with a Neverfull. I would probably avoid going to any place in Europe with a Neverfull, whether you carry a lot of things or not that many things in it, just because pickpocketers in Europe is just, they're so professional and it's not a joke. Anybody who goes to Europe would have experienced that, or even if they didn't experience that themselves, they would have heard someone that they know who have experienced pickpocketing. So it's a serious issue, and I would not recommend wearing a Neverfull in Europe. Other places in Asia, I'm not sure. In Hong Kong, I feel okay with it. I feel like it's safe enough, except with all the issues that's going on lately. I'm not even, I don't think it's like pickpocketing issue, but it's just like a lot of the rioting and stuff like that happening. So I would still avoid it if possible. But personally speaking, I am quite comfortable in Hong Kong in general, especially if I'm just going to the places that I'm familiar with, then I'm okay with. Other than that, I use my Neverfull mainly in Canada and in the US. So those are the main places that I use my Neverfull, and I've never had any issues here in North America. Even lately, I haven't really been reaching for my larger bags. I've mainly reached for my mini bags, and sometimes I don't even want to wear my mini bags. I'm just going for my tiny little extra mini bags, just because I don't want to put any more pressure on my shoulders. Do you still have the LV Bandouliere strap? If not, why? If you still have it, how it's the wear and tear, and do you prefer it over the XL strap? I have not had any issues. Now, having said that, I have not really worn it that much either, because I bought it for my push-up mitzvahs at the time, and also I was thinking I could also wear it with my Palm Springs mini when I travel, but I just haven't really used it. Yeah, in fact, I don't really remember the last time that I used this with any of my bags. So I kind of just have it, but I don't really have a use for it at the moment. The XL version is the newer version that came out after this one. So the XL version was not available when I bought this one, and it's a bit thinner, although that one is a lot longer, and it has a few adjustable settings to make it slightly longer or slightly shorter. I do prefer that new one, actually. I also do prefer that it's a little thinner. It's not so thin that it will be uncomfortable. It's just probably the same. I would say it's very similar to, yeah, I think it would be maybe just about the same thickness as my Hermes belt, or maybe a little bit more. But it's a lot longer, and I think that that one is just a little bit more flattering. The length on that one is just a little bit more universal, even though I am quite petite and I can get away with wearing crossbody with this one. It's just a little awkward because it just sits a little higher. The only times I would probably end up using this is if I traveled with my Palm Springs, in which case I would prefer having a thicker strap on some days, just because the very thin strap does dig in over time if you do wear your bag on a daily basis during the same period of travel. Next question by Lisa Craven. Do any of your Chanel bags have a chain strap that squeaks or creaks a little bit? My small makes that sound, but my mini does not. I personally don't have any bags at the moment that does that sound, but I exactly know what you're talking about because I have tried some bags in the store when I was shopping, and some of them do have the squeaking sound. I don't exactly know why. Maybe because the person that did the chain did it too tightly. Maybe that's the only reason that I can come up with. Is that something that would bother me? Maybe if it's a really squeaky sound, but if it's just here and there, then it probably wouldn't bother me. And if that squeaking sound was so loud, it would probably have deterred me from buying it in the first place. So yeah, to answer your question, at the moment I don't have any Chanel bags that does that, but I do exactly know what you're talking about. And yeah, I think it would probably have deterred me from buying it in the first place if it was very noticeable. Question by Internet Girl 100. Have you ever purchased the Capucines BB and what do you think of it? The answer is no, I have never bought the Capucines BB, but I love the bag a lot. It came out a while ago. I remember trying it in one of the LV events that I was invited to, and I remember really liking the BB size. At the time I tried it in the Gallet color. I feel like if you love the bag and you're wondering if you should get it, then I would say yes, go ahead. Personally, I don't think I'll get it per se, not at the moment anyway, because at the moment I'm crazy about Chanel. And in terms of a similar bag that I own, I actually have the Fendi Peekaboo. It does kind of remind me of the similar shape that it has, although I know that they're totally different bags because the Capucines is definitely more dressy, whereas this can be both dressy and casual. So I do like this a lot about the Fendi Peekaboo, and perhaps the reason why I would not get the Capucines because I already have this. But if space was not an issue and if I was really into LV at the moment, I probably would have gotten it also. So yeah, it's just a matter of, I guess, which one I got first, and I just got the Fendi first. I feel like the Fendi Peekaboo is more me than the Capucines anyway. It can change over time, but at the moment I don't feel like I need it in my collection. Next question by Alicia. I'm looking into the Palm Springs backpack and I'm wondering if you found not having your phone handy when it's in your backpack as opposed to crossbody where you can have it right in front of you is annoying, or if you just keep it in your pocket. Like, I'm not sure which size you're referring to exactly, but if you were to get this size, I think chances are you're going to be wearing it crossbody anyway, so this bag will sit right in front of your hips. And in my case, I always keep the phone in the front of the bag, and it's always in front of me, sitting right in front of my hips, so I never have an issue with not having easy reach of my phone ever. I have worn this bag maybe a couple times as a backpack, but it's totally not convenient and I totally do not like it in terms of the inconvenience. That's basically the main thing, because I love the look of it as a mini backpack. It's really cute, but convenience wise, there's nothing convenient about wearing it as a backpack. The next question is by Jenna. Do you prefer the Samorga or the Zoomoni? How did you go about choosing the layout? And when you use it in your Speedy, do you have a line where the organizer ends? Does it make it heavier? The organizer is 100% inside all the time, and it does not have that line that you were talking about. So right now the organizer ends right here, so I don't know if you can see any lines. I don't see any at all. I feel like it depends on the organizer that you get. If it's made well to the precise measurements, and if they are considerate about not leaving any sort of creasing line or some folding line on your bag, then you're not going to have that issue. So on my Speedy with the Zoomoni, no issues at all, and I leave it in there 100% of the time. It does make that bag slightly heavier, but having the organization of the Zoomoni is such a lifesaver when I do use the bag, because I mean, at a glance you can see all the compartments that you can use. How I came about the layout is just from experience, because I owned a Samorga in the past, and when I bought it, it was fairly, I guess the company was fairly new at the time. They only had maybe a couple layouts, and the layout that I chose at the time was the one that had 2 cup holders and a lot of different pockets inside and out, and also a large side pocket. I liked everything except for the fact that there was 2 water bottle holder compartments, and it was just getting in the way of this larger space. So that's the reason why I made sure that for this organizer I removed one of the bottle holder compartment and I just left one in it. In fact, if I were to redo it, I would just make that cup holder compartment removable as well, because sometimes I just want a big space just to throw things in. The last question is by my friend Joy. Hi Amy, your Gabrielle review is always on repeat on my YouTube playlist. I am now contemplating on grabbing a Gabby in the medium size. I don't think I'll buy brand new, as the resale market on the medium is not as competitive as the small. Let me just show you some eye candy. This is my newest Gabrielle bag. I also have it in the black. I do totally agree. I find that in general with the Gabrielle bag, I would never have gone with a medium size myself. First of all, it's just too big on me, and second of all, I just like mini bags a lot. But in terms of this particular style, I really like. And on a guy, I feel like the medium size is perfect because it looks even cooler on a bigger frame, and on a guy it's just totally awesome. I feel like that's the thing about the Gabrielle bag. If you're a lover of it, or if you think you love it, or you constantly think about it and have not pulled the trigger, chances are by the time you get it, you're gonna completely love it and wonder why you haven't gotten it first or earlier. So I totally support your decision to get one, but I definitely think that it's a good idea to get it pre-loved. If I were to resell any of the Gabrielle, because I have it in the small size, especially because I have the black, which is more sought after, and I feel like this burgundy color is amazing too, I would probably get most of my money back, if not all, because I do feel like the small size does keep its value a little bit better. The medium though, I feel like you can get such a good deal on the medium size. I saw so many of the silver one in the medium going for $2,000 US or less. And if you went with the classic colors such as black or beige, I feel like with the classics, the body of the bag with the medium size does crinkle a bit more, so they do sag a bit more. Those ones sometimes go for even less, and it's just amazing how, I mean, maybe unfortunate also that the value of the medium size goes down versus the small going up, or at least the small keeping a more stable value, for example, in the pre-love market. So I totally think that it's a great idea if you were to go for the medium, to go pre-love, because you can find one that's in a condition that you like, and it will cost you like half the price of retail. I totally think it's a great idea. That is it for this Q&A. Thank you all so much for joining us today, and if you're brand new to my channel, I would love to have you back. Please don't forget to subscribe and like and comment down below as well. Let me know if you have more questions for another Q&A. The way I do it is I gather all the past questions that I've gotten on my YouTube videos, and I just kind of pick and choose the ones that are relevant or the ones that I can elaborate on the video. But if you have specific questions that you want me to cover next time, this is a good place to leave them as well down below. Once I get enough of them, I'll make a whole video on it. I hope you guys are having a great Monday or week ahead of you, and I'll talk to you again very soon. Bye!